Hello and welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today. Today I'm going to share how I made this birthday card with just a few pieces of cardstock. I'm going to share how I came up with the color scheme and how I did the ombre stamping on the main part of the image. Now you'll notice throughout the video, by the end, I had not put on these dewdrop embellishments. That is something I decided to add later, but I think they added some nice shine and sparkle to a fun birthday card. So stick around and I'll show you how this all came together. So I knew that I wanted to use this big happy stamp set from Tailored Expressions. It's just one word, it's happy. It fits the whole entire front of a card, and it does come with a matching die that cuts that out as one piece, cuts around the letters. And then with that set also comes some clear stamps. Leave it on the white here so you can see. You can stamp the words that then can be layered over the word happy, so it makes, you know, the sentiment. So happy birthday, happy for you, happy hello, happy everything, and you make me happy. And the last piece of that set is the dies that cut out that word that goes over the top of the happy. I thought it might be helpful just to kind of walk through my thought process when I'm coming up with a card. So I wanted to show what I did here. I have almost the full set of the Concord 9th inks and cardstocks, and I made myself this little tag, I don't know, a little flip chart kind of a thing. So I punched the cardstock out as well as using the matching ink, and I used just my hello stamp and stamped it 3 times. So this is full strength, and then I stamped it and then stamped it again without re-inking, and then stamped it a 3rd time again without re-inking. So I could see kind of how the colors fade, you know, it's called stamping off. So I actually stamped off twice. And I really like to use this to kind of be able to flip through and find the right colors if I want to match something specific. I'm making this birthday card for my husband, and he likes the color orange, so I thought it might be kind of fun to try to kind of focus on that color. And I found this little piece of 6x6 cardstock in a Honeybee Stamps 6x6 paper pad that I have. This is just the cover off of it. It fell off, so I thought I'd pull that in here. This is just kind of a tip if you're ever like, oh, I just really don't know what colors to put together. Usually if you have something like this, maybe just even one piece of cardstock that has more than one color in it, or a pad like this that has several different patterns, but they really stick to a specific color theme, you can then just start kind of picking out some of the colors that are in that pad that would go along with your orange. So when I first was looking through this, I was thinking, oh, you know, I really like navy, but then I was considering, you know, maybe like avocado to match with the green, you know, maybe the brown. And then I thought, you know, that's kind of getting a little fallish, and it is April, so I wanted to keep it just a little bit more light, a little bit springier. So I decided to kind of go more for these, you know, kind of teal and peacock colors. And maybe even pull in a yellow. I started kind of flipping through here, and I really like how Juniper matches the darker. I was flipping through and found that the next one, I believe, the sea glass, I really liked how that matched the lighter color. So, and then actually what I also did was flip to the oranges and found that spiced cider really matches nicely with the orange shades that are in this particular paper pad. So my thought was I'll use this orange, which matches the spiced cider. Here's sunflower, here's that spiced cider. So here's kind of the 4 colors that I came up with. And then I still might even use like the navy blue just to kind of ground everything, which in Concord 9th is called Midnight. So that's kind of the color scheme I came up with. So that's kind of what I'm going for on this birthday card. So I'm going to use my stamp positioner to stamp the word happy. And I'm just going to grab that stamp here, peel it off, and actually I'm going to grab my cardstock. Sorry about the glare from my lights, but I'm just using some white cardstock. I am using Hammermill 100 pound. Putting it in my positioner down in the bottom corner. It's important to keep it tucked down in the corner so that if you do have to stamp it again, you know that your paper is going to line up with your stamp if you have to end up stamping it twice. So I'm gonna kind of keep it down toward the bottom of the cardstock so that I could possibly use the top half for something else. So set that on there, close the door, and it picks up the stamp. And then that's ready to put some ink on. Okay, so I decided with the Sea Glass and Juniper that I picked out, those are the two ink colors I'm going to be using for the Big Happy. And what I want to do is some ombre stamping. So here is my stamp positioner. So ombre just means that it's going from like a darker shade to a lighter shade, and it could be up, down, sideways, whichever way you want to go. So what I'm going to do is take my lighter Sea Glass and just ink up all over this stamp. Just kind of make sure I get those letters all covered. And then I'm going to take the darker Juniper and go about halfway down and just get the tops of those letters. And then I have a little sponge dauber here, one of these that you stick on your finger. They've kind of been around forever. And I'm gonna just kind of gently smudge out that harsh line between the dark and the light, just to blend it. So it'll make a nicer blend as it's moving from the dark shade to the light. I kind of go over these just a little bit, just to smooth out some of that ink on the top. Okay, and then once I'm happy with that, I am going to close the lid if I can get a hold of it. Close the lid. And then I have this little tool from Tailored Expressions. It says, don't stress, just press. It's kind of like a dry erase marker, but I can use that to press my stamp down. And we'll lift up and just see how it shows up. It's okay. It's a little bit blotchy, so I'm going to do it one more time. And the beauty of using a stamp positioner like this is, as long as nothing has moved, I can ink it all up, stamp it again, and it should line up exactly with that same place that I put it before. I am first just going to grab my dampened stamp chamois and give it a wipe, just so that when I go over it with that light Sea Glass, I don't get a whole bunch of that darker Juniper in it. I'm not going to get it completely off, but at least if I kind of get the majority of it, that should be fine. And I'm a lot happier with that. I also wanted to point out with this ink, and there's a lot of inks out there that are like this, when you very first stamp it, it'll lighten as it dries, and it also might look just a little bit mottled, and then it will smooth out over time as it gets drier. So I want to show, I did this one the other day, and you certainly don't have to leave it sitting for that long to let it dry, but I did, I used the same exact two colors, and now I can't remember if I stamped it twice or just once, but you can kind of see how it just, it's almost like it mutes it, or kind of smooths out is what I should say, and it doesn't look quite as mottled as when you very first stamp it. So if you're using some inks, you know, and it could be any brand, if you're using inks that you're just like, oh, I don't love how that looks when I very first stamp it, maybe just kind of set it aside and let it dry. Chances are it might be something that, like this, you might be happier with it after it's had a chance to sit for a little while. So the next step, I am going to go ahead and stamp the word birthday. Like I said, that's a clear stamp. I'm going to just lay it down, and this is a bigger block than I really need, but I'm going to just grab it with my block. It sticks on there nicely, and I really like to use VersaFine Onyx Black ink for whenever I'm doing a sentiment, because it just stamps really nice and crisp and clear. So I am gonna go ahead and open that up. I'm just kind of checking, making sure I don't have any fuzz stuck to it. Get it inked up. I like to kind of take a look sometimes, make sure I'm not missing any spots. I could use that stamp positioner again for this, but I decided just to grab a block, acrylic block, and give it a good press and lift up. And that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and do two since I have enough stuff to do 2 cards. This way I can have an extra one for someone when their birthday rolls around. All right, next I'm gonna go ahead and die cut out these main pieces of my card. So I'm gonna line this die up. Now this one has a bit of a white border. The die doesn't go right up to the inked part, so you can kind of see that white border around. I am gonna use some low tack tape. Just gonna stick a few of these on there in a couple different places. There's that, and then here's the die for the word birthday. All right, so since my die cutting machine is off screen, I went ahead and die cut all of these things. I just wanted to show that this is the balloon and the balloon string die that I used, and I cut out 4 different colors of balloons. They all match. I used those colors that I kind of picked out at the beginning that would coordinate well with that orange background, and then I cut out 4 balloon strings, and you'll see I'm going to actually be cutting those down, so I won't use the whole thing, but I cut out 4 just to get started. And then I also cut out the happy and the birthday so that we can go ahead and start assembling. The other thing I did off screen, just move these things to the side, is I did go ahead and I cut my orange piece to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I glued that to my card base. So this is an A2 size card. My plan is, and I know this is going to look very busy, but it, you know, I figure for a birthday, it's kind of fun to have a lot going on, a lot of color, and I just imagine, like, you know, a whole bunch of balloons flying up and having a banner kind of in the background. My thought process is that these balloons will just kind of all be in the background, kind of like there's just a huge bouquet of balloons, and then I'm gonna layer the word happy over the top so you can kind of see those balloons peeking out. And lastly, this will go over the very top. Well, I shouldn't say lastly. I will probably glue that on first and then work on my tails, and then that will be the card. So let's start assembling, and I'm just gonna leave them kind of like this, just kind of random up and down and, you know, overlapping a little bit. And I am gonna go ahead and use my liquid glue. Okay, just a little bit here. And I could go off the edge and trim it. This time I think I'm just gonna go up to the very edge so that I don't have to worry about, you know, trimming anything off. It is nice though, kind of visually, to have things hanging off the edge. Okay, and then I think I like the blue behind the yellow, so something like that. And okay, and then you can take dimensionals, so like the foam double-sided adhesives, and give this a little bit of height. I've done that before and it's really nice to do that. This time though, I'm going to just glue it straight down to the cardstock. So I'm just going to do a little line on each letter. And shift my hand so I can get where my thumb was at. There we go. Just give that a good press so that it sticks down. And let's see. Yeah, I think I'll be okay to go ahead and get this. Actually, you know what? I think I will pop this up, the word birthday, I'll pop that up with some foam adhesive. So I'm gonna wait on that. Next, I am gonna grab my little tails, and I think I'll go ahead and glue them on and then just snip the ends. Just kind of mark with my fingernail where I want to trim that. Add just a few little dots of glue. This is the nice thing about this glue runner, or glue press, I should say. You can get such a tiny little stream of glue out. Just kind of press that down, and then I'll flip it over and trim that tail off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these glued on. Like these Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, they're called. They are double-sided. They have a little bit of foam. They're not too thick. I don't like a really thick dimensional, and they're sticky on both sides, so you can use it kind of like glue, but it'll pop your item up. So they come in two sizes, a larger one, and then these mini ones. And I am going to use a couple mini ones just because this the space, I don't have a ton of space to hide them behind some of these letters. We'll see what I end up with. Sometimes I end up having to cut some down to get them to fit better, and I think I will actually cut there. All right, and that is the card, my happy birthday card with some balloons, kind of in a masculine color scheme. And then I did want to just show one other card that I went ahead and made. If this just seems too busy and you don't want to you know, if you're kind of a clean and simple person where you don't like as much color and things going on, you might just want to keep it a little more simple. So I did go ahead and make a second card out of that other happy that I had done. Same size, I did the A2 size card. I cut a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of white cardstock and ran that through my embossing machine, so it has a little bit of texture. And then instead of a whole bunch of balloons, I just did one out of some white sparkle paper. You know, if you kind of like that clean look, a lot of white, this might work for that. And these came together really fast, like you saw. I mean, you can, let me get zoomed out here. You can stamp that word happy just in one solid color. You can do a little bit of an ombre like I did, and you can get a completely different look depending on kind of what you layer it on, and you can really customize them to, you know, the different colors and things kind of however you want. So thank you so much for watching. I'm glad that you joined me today. I hope that you got some inspiration and ideas, and have a great rest of your day.